what to do. Good morning and welcome to Get Real America. I'm Brittany Brown. Bill Edwards is not here this morning, but hopefully he'll be back tomorrow. We are headed down the home stretch. We are almost done with the month of November. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. It was wonderful weather, and we had the boat parade on Saturday. There was lots of things going on, Christmas tree lightings all over the county. So hopefully you guys were able to attend some of that really fun stuff happening this time of year. We're going to jump right in this morning and talk about, what's going on. One of the things that I thought was interesting is that we do have a quote unquote ceasefire in the Middle East right now between Israel and Hamas. And one of the things that I'm a little bit concerned about is that maybe we're creating a market for Hamas to continue to take hostages because they are getting a return of about 3 to 1. So for every 3 people Israel is releasing to Hamas, they're getting 1 hostage. So there were, I believe, 10 people released over the weekend. I believe it's supposed to be 10 a day until they get everyone back. But they are releasing the other prisoners to Hamas. So that will be quite interesting to see how that all plays out. But didn't stop anyone this weekend from ruining a Christmas tree lighting in Michigan. I mean, these people they just try to ruin everything they can, because if they are in these crowds and they're able to cause disruption and create media attention, they feel like their voices are going to be heard. And I don't really understand this because there is a ceasefire currently, so I don't know why they're continuing to protest. It seems a little unreasonable, but well, and that wasn't the only place that they were causing problems. Over the weekend, they were actually on the Manhattan Bridge in New York, causing disruption, which anyone that drives in New York already knows the frustrations of driving there. And so to add this on top of that on the Manhattan Bridge, really frustrating. Again, there is a ceasefire currently, so I'm not really sure what these people are asking for. But you can see there's a lot of people there creating problems. And I mean, honestly, I have no idea why anyone would want to go to New York at this point in time. It's absolutely wild. But you can tell that these are very organized. They're all wearing t-shirts. They have their signs. Who knows if they were all placed there for them to just show up. Yeah, there's a lot of money going into these protests. And I mean, I'm sure George Soros is paying for a lot of it. He has become the bane of our existence here in the United States. He has done a ton of damage. So very exciting that he is still around, still kicking. And I believe his son will be taking over in the event that he passes away, which I believe he's like 98 years old. So that could be happening more quickly than we realize. But another person who is on the radar running for president, Chris Christie, and you have to wonder, what did Trump do to him? Because he definitely is not having, he has nothing friendly to say about Trump, but they were quite friendly in the beginning stages of his presidency up through COVID. And then when Chris Christie got COVID, he turned against Trump. And the thing that there had to be another thing that happened, but I'm not sure what it was for him to be so against Trump. And of course, who is he blaming for all this anti-Semitism? Trump.
spike in hate against Jews in the United States. You told the New York Times that you believe former President Donald Trump's, quote, intolerance for everybody has contributed to the surge in anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. How so?
Well, look, when you show intolerance towards everyone, which is what he does, you give permission as a leader for others to have their intolerance come out. And so, intolerance towards anyone encourages intolerance towards everyone. And that's exactly what's going on here. And that's been going on for quite some time, not just with Donald Trump, but with university professors on some of our most elite campuses in this country, with university administrators and presidents who have been unwilling to stand up against anti-Semitism on their campuses, most particularly. And there should be no campus in this country where a Jewish student is afraid to leave their dorm, a Jewish student is afraid to go to their classes, a Jewish student is afraid to go to even have a meal in the dining hall. I mean, that is outrageous and it's wrong. I think governors in those individual states should be sending state police to make sure that they're protected on those campuses. And we need to have university presidents who are willing to stand up and be counted against hate. And that's exactly what's going on here. We saw this display also at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. These are folks who are ignorant. And when they talk about intifada, my guess is 2/3 of them don't even know what intifada is. And if they did, they'd be ashamed of themselves for calling for the elimination of the Jewish people around the world, which is what intifada is. And so, in the end, look, I think that there have been a lot of people who contributed to it, and I believe Donald Trump's intolerant language and his intolerant conduct gives others permission to act the same.
Chris Christie, man, how far he has fallen. He also, I believe, is the person that gave us Christopher Wray. So definitely will not be the president of the United States and hopefully will not serve in any government capacity ever again, but definitely is always willing to jump in on MSNBC or CNN or any of those other stations to give his opinion because everyone cares so much about it. Lizzie Warren's with us this morning, and she says they don't care about the Israelis that were slaughtered. They don't, and I think that that's why we're seeing them be very militant in the way that they are behaving. And you have to wonder, are they paying these people to do this? We've indoctrinated these people. I know that I've seen several things where kids are now studying the Quran and saying how pro-feminism it is and all this stuff. And I'm just like, very interesting coming from these crazy people, especially a lot of trans are promoting the Quran as well, which blows my mind. Mary McCann Hybrider's with us this morning, and she says the new BLM. It absolutely is. It's a total boondoggle. I wonder where the funding is coming from. So I wonder where people are able to donate to the pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian stuff going on. I'm hoping that we see them get the hostages back. The other thing that I think is interesting is that America not really focused on getting a lot of our people back because we do have American hostages over there. I believe that one 4-year-old little girl was also American that was living over there. She was released, but her parents, I believe, were killed. So Lizzie Warren says, has Christie never heard Biden speak with derision about conservatives in this country? Yeah, that's the thing. We're the enemy. And according to, Biden and also Chris Christie, I don't know what kind of Republican he's trying to get to participate or to vote for him, or who's the 1% or the under 1% that he's been able to convince to put up money behind him. I don't really understand that at all, except for the fact that it's probably people that just want to do any damage they can to Trump and try to create chaos within the Republican Party, which is working very well. We have a lot of it. So there are a lot of people that are sick of what's going on in their own countries. So this stuff is not just happening in the U.S. I don't think that we've seen the counter protests happen here yet in the U.S., but I think that they will be coming depending on what happens in this next year. 2024 is probably going to be one of the most wild years that any of us have lived through. And, I think that they're going to try and hurt small businesses. They're going to try and get the jobs to go away, even though they're telling us that they've created all of these jobs and that, the economy is so wonderful. Bidenomics is working for everyone. I think they're doing this for the history books. They are not doing this for the benefit of the American people. They're lying to everyone. And unfortunately, people go to the gas station. They go to the grocery store. They can see what is actually happening. So I don't think the lying is going to work, especially when you see that Biden is definitely losing support with the younger population. And that is because they can't own anything and they can barely afford to live. A lot of people are living with their parents again because they just cannot afford to be out on their own at this point in time. So, but over in Dublin over the weekend, there was a stabbing that happened, and the city was on fire for a good portion of a couple of days last week. But there is also a video coming out of Ireland showing that the people that have immigrated into this country now think that they own the country, and that so you can see that they're threatening these people with sticks, trying to get them to do what they want. This is insane. These people are not citizens of the country. And you can barely understand them. You can see that it's very contentious. I don't think we're too far off here in the United States where, the illegals coming into this country are demanding that we take care of them. And Lizzie Warren says Conor McGregor is being investigated for a hate crime for speaking against the stabbing. He is, and one of his comments was, if the prime minister's not going to do anything about it, I will. Don't know what that means, but a lot of people are hoping that that means that he will run for office in Ireland. And a lot of people were very excited about him stepping up because they were saying, finally, someone that's a celebrity that has the gumption to actually say what's happening and go up against it, because they haven't. We're not really seeing that. We are seeing, like, Susan Sarandon. She was dropped from her talent agency last week, which, because she was going on a pro-Hamas, anti-Israel type rant, and so her agency dropped her. I think that we live in a very dangerous time when, you can't say anything that you want, but at the same time, I think when the left has gone too far, I think a lot of people don't know what the options are, especially when the Jewish community has really contributed a lot of money to these universities, to Hollywood, and there's a lot of people that are Jewish in Hollywood, so we're going to see some repercussions, and you're seeing the left split in how they view things, and a lot of them will not support Biden, so we'll see what that looks like, and Biden is not willing to not run, so I'm interested to see how that's going to go, because the left is having a really hard time getting their unification back. We did have someone that went to a thing with Mayor Johnson with the Democrat Party a few weeks ago. And one of the things that Mayor Johnson said is, if we do not come together, if we don't stop the infighting, we will lose Georgia. And so we'll lose the country. So they know how important Georgia is. They also, it's not all rainbows and butterflies on the other side. And I think we need to remember that. Lizzie Warren says, go to SCCPSS school board meeting to see how demanding the illegals are here and how the school board seems eager to appease them. They want translators. They demand that there must be a translator there for the parents, and that they are in the schools for the parents and for the children. It's a distraction. We're having a hard time teaching our own American children to read. We do not have the resources to actually put into these people coming over the border trying to get a lot of stuff for free. So, well, we'll be jumping in to Clinton Cowart when we get back. He sat down with Bill last week, and we'll take a look at that.
being together at the holidays. Publix, where shopping is.
Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit.
Greetings.
I'm Brittany Brown.
I'm Bill Edwards.
We're the co-hosts of Get Real America.
We're the CEO and the president of something we call the Local Spin, and there's a reason we call it the Local Spin.
We want to cover stories that really impact your life at the local level. Don't have a local business? No problem. If you know people that have a local business, make sure you reach out to them and let them know that they should advertise on our show.
Our rates are extremely reasonable, a lot better than you'd find in most of the media in this town, and you will get results. I promise. You will be investing in something that's important.
If you don't have the ability to donate, make sure you like our page and share it with your friends. Have you always wanted to own a local media company? Well, now's your opportunity.
Here we are.
Make sure you become an investor today. Make sure that you go to thelocalspin.com/GRA and donate there. We want to provide an evening and morning news to you in a way that you've never seen before, but we need your help.
Yeah, this is something that what NPR said that they were supposed to be. NPR gets something in the range of $450 million of your tax money every year to slant the news the way they want to and to not cover stories that they need to be covering.
You need local media. Make sure to check us out and donate today.
Welcome back to Get Real America. I'm Bill Edwards. Pleasure to have a good friend here, Clinton Coward, who was just off the campaign trail. And Clinton, we knew it was going to be a long, hard fight and that you were up against all sorts of odds. But I want to thank you for getting involved and finally saying, okay, people tell me, get involved in the political process. I'm going to do it. Tell me some of the lessons that you learned, even though you didn't win the campaign, but there are others coming up. You might be able to. You think you might drop in again or what?
I really don't know. I did learn that pardon me, can't even speak clearly today. Name recognition is far more important than you realize.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the incumbents, the biggest advantage that they had was name recognition.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is misleading people is prominent when you enter politics. I found a lot of the individuals campaigning told emotion, tugged at people's heartstrings, but never really delivered policy ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And my father used to say, there's nothing wrong with failure as long as you try. But when I hear nothing but platitudes and no real ideas, that's not even trying.
Mm-hmm.
I think in any future campaigns, no matter what office it is, people need to separate their emotions and think, how can this person make my life better?
Mm-hmm.
Will their policies work? And will they make the situation for everyone a little bit easier? And I think a lot of people allow their emotions to get in the way when they enter the ballot box.
Well, Clinton, I remember one of my friends who was also running it, who got elected to city council some years back, but he said the first time he was running, he was going door to door, and one lady asked, well, how do you feel about abortion? He said, I've got to worry about that too. Aren't there other issues about the city? They don't seem to understand about a local, even though abortion is a big deal here locally or anywhere else, but that what the city needs, what they want, needs to be priority.
Yes, a lot of people don't have the ability to differentiate between national issues, state issues, county issues, and city issues. And they need to understand that there are some things that city officials, when they're on the campaign trail, don't have the power to vote yay or nay towards. So, of course, they're not going to be how I say, proactive in delivering you their opinion on a national or state issue, nor should they. They have no power to vote on that.
Right. And what were some of the questions that you got or opposition that you ran into that was surprised you the most?
Questions, pretty much, what have you done for the community?
Uh-huh.
I love hearing that word community. For some reason, we stopped using the word neighborhood about 60 or 70 years ago.
Right.
And no offense, but this communist term community came into play everywhere.
Right.
And it no longer has the same meaning. I wish we would return our language back to neighborhoods because, well, believe it or not, language does change the way you think. And community comes from commune, which derives from communism. What I've done for the neighborhoods, I tried to raise money for the handicapped and disabled who are under 18. I tried to tutor people who lack the ability to read. I tried to instruct, I tried to teach, I did free resumes, and I acquired jobs for people for free as far as doing charity work. But I think people are focused on character and not ideas. Not saying character doesn't matter,
of course,
but you got to have some ideas to make, well, the neighborhoods survive financially. The homeless rates will keep on growing as long as we keep putting the band-aid on a bullet wound. And I repeat this over and over again. We not only need to bring jobs to Savannah, we need to give applicants who are born and raised in Savannah not only the interview, but the employment. We need to invest our money in training them and employing them rather than bring outside workers.
Interesting, Clinton, interesting that you say that because there was an article in the paper over the weekend that CEDAS, the Savannah Economic Development Authority, Trent Tollison, the head there, says that he's worried about the workforce here, that Hyundai's building this plant, they need 8,400 workers, and then you've got all these other ancillary organizations that are coming in for building batteries and all sorts of, and he said, we're not going to have the workforce, the educated workforce. JCB about 10 years ago nearly left because they couldn't find people. They could find people who could turn bolts. They couldn't find people who could read tech manuals. And it was very close for them for a while.
Well, let me stop you there. There is a qualified workforce in Savannah. They do not interview them. Their software is flawed. It's been pointed out, I don't know how many times. Half the time, they don't even interview qualified individuals. And the people who they claim are not qualified have the basis to be trained, and they have the education and they have the experience. They just need to be trained. But they would never bring in an outside force with less education, less qualifications, and train them thinking they're going to save money, but in the long run they don't. They fail to realize this. So they're kind of given a misdirection in all these interviews, and especially when these interviews are presented in various articles. They want to give the impression there's no qualified employee base in Savannah. That's a lie. I'm sorry, that's an absolute lie. I'm in HR, and even though I do small contract jobs, I understand the beat. So that's a complete misdirection.
Yeah. So then that was your platform, was it not? That's what you were running on. That your opponent was overlooking, is it?
Yeah, I didn't want more youth centers. I didn't want more homeless shelters. I wanted to get to the source of the problem: unemployment, lack of money. Let's open up the employment base. Let's start actually interviewing qualified candidates and making the financial investment in training people who are qualified, rather than going for all these filtering systems online that want people to take an exam just for an interview. I'm sorry, but if a tech degree, a certification, a permit, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, a PhD isn't enough to get the interview, then why would an examination for any job career website be?
Yeah, exactly. So, conclusion, what did you learn from all this, and do you think you might throw your hat back in the ring at some point?
I learned people are very territorial. they're consumed with identity politics, and they fail to realize poverty doesn't care what minority or majority that you are. Poverty can strike anybody, anywhere, anytime, and every one of us, you, me, everyone, is only 1 or 2 steps away from being homeless in the correct circumstance.
All right. Well, again, thank you for getting involved. We've always had a lot of people pay lip service to this, and you actually suffered the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. Yeah.
I would like to address one thing.
Yes, sir.
I did write that small hit piece on my criminal activity, not wearing a seatbelt in 2003, and pleading guilty and paying a speeding ticket in 1999. But I'd just like to say, what you expect? My father was a race car driver.
That's for sure. Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance, with integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Salut papa. Joyeux Noël.
Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Is it Monday yet?
Yeah, I'm glad you made it in. I'm glad you made it in, Bill.
Yes, sirree. Well, I've overslept before, but this was a masterpiece.
Yes.
So welcome aboard, and glad that you could join us this morning as well. And hope you had a great Thanksgiving as we get ready. It's okay to put up your Christmas trees now, okay? And put up the Christmas decorations.
People still have Halloween decorations out with Christmas decorations. I'm like, what are we doing? It's very weird. It feels very weird.
That sounds lazy is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, well, I think it's on Abercorn where they have those two giant skeletons with a mixture of Christmas in there. I was like, interesting.
Well, yeah.
Yes. Very interesting.
Well, if we keep this up with the Democrats, that's probably what we're going to have is a skeleton of Christmas. Because they don't want to celebrate it unless it's goes along with the selling of good materials.
Well, we actually had a pretty good Black Friday. I believe it was record breaking.
Mm-hmm.
So
good.
Interesting. I wonder how people are paying for that.
Well, they're overloading their credit card. Aren't we drowning in credit card debt now? So we
Yes.
figure, just like the federal government, to spend money you don't have, may as well take it. The interesting thing is, Brittany, that most people, you have to tell kids, especially when they start getting the credit cards, because they used to play on college students a lot.
When I turned 18, within the first 3 months, I was allowed to get 9 credit cards.
Yeah, and
It was
it's
not
not
good.
an extension of wealth.
No.
It's you have to pay that back, and you have to pay it with a lot of interest. The interest rates on some of these cards is unbelievable. If you miss a payment,
Like 30% or something.
and if you're late for a payment, it could go up from there. There's really not much of a limit that they put on. I mean, the government keeps telling you that they're going to, but then again, the government keeps telling us a lot of stuff that doesn't happen.
Well, the good news is now they have implemented that $600 barrier. So if you have $600 that you've been Venmo'd, anything over that, you get taxed on now. Aren't you excited? It used to be $20,000. Now it's $600.
600, yeah.
Yeah.
That's, and then
It's
of course
exciting.
they want to see all the receipts.
Yeah, very exciting. But the thing that gets me, Bill, is that yes, they can look into all of our finances. However, it's like when we want to know where all this money is going, it's like very obscure.
Yeah.
Can't really see where all of this money is going, especially when you look at, lately I've really started thinking about like how much taxes they're getting, because like if you win the lottery, they're taking half of that right off the top.
Yeah.
Half of it gone to the government.
If you remember when they give these big lottery numbers, when it gets up like to $1.1 billion or something like that, and they say, now if you want the cash payout, it's only going to be $758,000, and then you have to pay taxes on that.
Yeah. So the government, they get all of this money, and it's like how many times can you say, like they added the hotel motel tax to Savannah, right?
Right.
That's supposed to be for drainage and roads and infrastructure, right?
And to help pay for the other, the ancillary services they provide, electricity and water and things of that nature. Yeah.
So don't we already collect taxes for roads from gas and from, income tax and all these other places?
Well, then we have the SPLOST
designated.
taxes we keep voting for.
That are designated. Well, we've beat T-SPLOST. I'm hoping we continue to beat that, because who votes for more taxes? Come on, guys. We don't do that. It's a bad idea. If they want if they want more money, they need to tell us where all the money's going.
But they keep putting it on the ballot. That's the thing. It doesn't work this time, so they'll try it again next time.
Well, this is why the county commissioners' races are so important, people. They're the ones that decide what goes on the ballot locally.
So. And you just heard from Clinton Cowart about his experience when he was out, and people were either clueless or they asked questions that really didn't pertain to what exactly he was running for. But what an experience that he had, and once again, I say good on him for at least throwing his hat in the ring and getting involved.
Well, and that's why people also need to understand you can't just get involved the year of the election. If you want to run for office in 4 years, you need to start now.
Exactly right. It's like
name recognition matters.
Yes, it's like getting ready for the Olympics. You have to start and build a foundation, and you have to do probably one of the things that I would hate the most out of doing is asking people for money.
Well, asking people for money, but I think also showing up in the community like all the time, like 5 days a week. You have to be out doing something in the community so people recognize you, they see you, you have conversations with them that are meaningful. You have to touch a voter about 7 times, and if you start 4 years out, you're probably looking pretty good.
It's name recognition more than anything else. I remember the late, great Pete Lakakis here. Pete didn't miss much. You could go to just about any event, and you could count on Pete being there. And it was remarkable what he did for this community and what a legacy that he's left. But it's one of those things that if you want to get involved, you have to get involved. There are no two ways about it.
Yeah, and maybe we should go back to neighborhoods and not community. I thought that was an interesting look at what his perspective was, because I do think we've switched a lot of things to a communist type language. One of the other things I was talking with another conservative about over the weekend was the language that we use when it comes to abortion. And she was like, do not use abortion. They kill babies. That's what it is. Abortion obfuscates that and makes it so they don't have to admit that they're killing babies.
Oh yeah,
So
they love to wash the blood off their hands with this kind of manipulating the language.
And it's never a fetus; it's always a baby.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to humanize that baby at any point in time that you can. And I think that we need to get more aggressive as conservatives as we talk about these like really controversial issues. Because I think if people saw actually what it looked like to kill a baby in the womb, they would be devastated. And I don't think that people could sleep at night.
When you consider that the clinic, remember we had when Paul Kennard was on and talked about the clinic that we closed after the Roe v. Wade thing was overturned by the Supreme Court, that they had over the years killed 100,000 Savannah citizens, and maybe some from out of town, a few, but for the fact that 100, think about that. That's almost a third of our, better than a third of our population right now.
That's crazy, Bill.
And what we've done since Roe v. Wade became, quote, the law of the land, how many millions we have destroyed. And go back and think, what would those people have? I mean, the earliest would have been in their 40s now. And would they have been surgeons, civil engineers, the guy who invented the cure for AIDS? Who knows?
And Lizzie Warren says, look in the eyes of a newborn baby and tell me that it was okay to murder that baby 1 minute sooner in a late-term abortion.
Mm-hmm.
In a late-term killing, actually. We're gonna continue to use the word killing and not abortion because I do think it obfuscates them from what the act is. And I think it's made it more palatable to young women.
Well, just like the organization Planned Parenthood. Yeah. There's a reason they call it Planned, because whatever it isn't parenthood. It's getting rid of the kid, so you're not a parent. Yeah. So they've used the language against us. Planned Parenthood, okay? Whatever it is that they are, it ain't parenthood.
Definitely not, Bill. And I think we do need to be better with our language, especially going into 2024. It's going to be wild. Like, I have a feeling that 2024 is going to be something none of us have ever seen before, whether you're in an older generation or a younger one. And it might not be something that we ever see again. My hopes, yeah. Yeah, well,
but it is going to be no more Mr. Nice Guy. We cannot afford to sit around and say, well, so. Yeah, just like when Jesse Kelly, national talk show host, was talking about language and things of that nature, but talking about the Republicans, that we all of a sudden we release the January, that Mike Johnson gets in and says, we're going to release all this January 6th footage. He said, no, we've had it for 3 years. What took so long? And he says, like being behind 60-0 in the fourth quarter, and you kick a field goal, and you say, woohoo, hey, we scored.
Yeah, you can tell that Kevin McCarthy is no friend to conservatives. Mm-hmm. He was protecting Nancy Pelosi and all of those other horrible human beings that were on the January 6th committee. And I hope that I hope they all lose their seats, and I hope that they're all tried for treasonous acts against the American people, because that's exactly what it is.
How much blood?
They are still arresting people for being in D.C. on January 6th. It's appalling. I can't believe they're allowed to do it. Where are we in this country?
Yeah, that was, in fact, when Stephen Friend was here, and I'm about halfway through his book, True Blue, when he was talking about how dangerous the FBI has become, and that they have an actual separate whole setup organization now to go into to get January 6 people.
Yeah,
and it's still going on. They have a whole setup they were going into the Catholic churches, especially the ones still doing the Latin Mass.
Well, and if you look at Kash Patel's book, Government Gangsters, that just came out, in which he had to sue the government for 10 months to get it released, mm-hmm. He names names, and there are a lot of people that are bureaucrats that are the problem. They should not be allowed to be in these positions. We are run by a bureaucracy within the government. We are not run by our elected officials. Our elected officials would rather kick the can down the road, just like, no one's going to like this, but our representatives created this commission. Guess what? Went to the Supreme Court. Can't do it. Mm-hmm. Odd how that worked out. So I wonder who was right. Senator Colton Moore seems to be correct on this issue, and he was thrown out of the Republican caucus for it.
Yeah.
I think that there are a lot of people up on the Capitol here in Georgia that have a lot to answer for. What are you going to do now that this commission can't move forward? What are our options? Because you guys do have oversight over these DAs, and how are you guys going to take action? They just wanted to wash their hands, kick the can down the road, and make it someone else's problem so that they didn't have to take any heat from anyone. That's exactly why they did it.
So I'm wondering why we haven't done anything about the DA that we have here, and then the DA that we have in Atlanta. And so they said, well, they'll be replaced by somebody who's just as bad or whatever. That's it. Well, so what?
Then we get rid of that DA.
That's right. Yeah.
Then we continue the process. But just because we're afraid of the outcome doesn't mean that we do not do the right thing.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that the Stephen Friend got kicked out of the FBI for. He went to them when he saw what they were doing with the January 6 people. He said, we don't have to send SWAT teams to pick these people up at 6 o'clock in the morning.
These 80-year-old women.
Yeah. Right.
Grandmothers.
Yeah, we can do it this way, and this is what it says in our bylaws. This is what it says in the creed of the FBI that we all have to memorize and things that we're supposed to be living by, and all of a sudden he finds himself on the outside looking in, and maybe and told he can't work in law enforcement anymore. His wife suddenly mysteriously loses her job. How exactly did that happen? What did she do? Why did she lose her job?
Well, Bill, I think that's why we, as we come upon Small Business Saturday that we just had, and it's, of course, Cyber Monday, I think we need to make sure that we're supporting businesses that support our values, because if not, we're going to continue to see this happen. We need to support whistleblowers. So buy Stephen Friend's book. That's the one small thing you can do for someone that has stood up for and lost everything. I think that that's what we need to do. We need to rally behind these people that are willing to stand up, because I'll tell you what, there are a lot of people, not that I say that I can blame them, but they are not willing to stand up because they're afraid of losing their job. They're afraid of the consequences for being brave. And I think that we need more people to stand up. But if you're going to be a coward, then you can at least put money behind these people. You can at least support them in other ways.
And Stephen Friend suggests you actually buy 2 of his books and send one of them to Christopher Wray at the FBI building.
Someone actually had a great point. They said, no, you just send the sleeve, because you actually don't want him to have the book. You just want him to know that it was bought. Yeah. Anyways,
good idea.
Yes.
But I would love to see the UPS 18-wheeler pull up in front of the J. Edgar Hoover building in Washington and unload, the 18-wheeler full of sleeves.
They might say it's a domestic terrorism attack at that point.
I'm sure. I'm sure that would be the case.
You got a book.
Yeah.
You got a book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Looking there, see if there's any bombs.
Yeah. Well, if your blood's not boiling yet, it will be by the end of the next segment, because we're going to be talking about what's going on in Minneapolis and what was released and what happened in consequence because this film was released.
Yeah. That's coming up. Stay real.
When you're looking to buy a business or sell a business, the experts at Best Business Brokers have you covered. Whether you're ready to cash in on your years of hard work or you're taking that first step in buying a business of your own, they're here to guide you through the process and make sure you get the best outcome possible. By having Best Business Brokers assist you when you buy a business or sell a business, they handle the legwork of the intricate process. This ensures a smooth transition of ownership, allowing you to get to work immediately or receive payment for your business as soon as possible. With base operations in Savannah and Charleston, they service all of Georgia and South Carolina. If you're considering starting a business here, the mild winters and 5-tiered economic areas make these the perfect places to do so. If you're ready to buy a business or sell a business, then you're ready to contact Best Business Brokers. Visit their website at b3brokers.com or call at 912-349-0940.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance, with integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Well. Derek Chauvin is an innocent man behind bars for what? For kneeling on the neck of St. George?
Well, and here, the big issue that I've seen with this is that it was all a narrative that was built. No one in the media went against the narrative, but a documentary was just released in the last week or so called
The Fall of
Minneapolis. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I watched it over the weekend. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to watch it, but I was, and my parents watched it, and my mom was just like, she's like, I'm so mad. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how they allowed this to happen. The coincidences, in quotations, that happened in this case are mind-blowing. They piece together everything. They give you all of the footage, not just one part of it. The officers were hung out to dry here. And if you haven't watched it, it's free. Go watch it on Rumble. It's definitely worth the watch. And I think that the more educated we are to combat a lot of the narratives, the better off we are. But we have that trailer for you guys.
Yeah, here's how it looks.
The murder of George Floyd.
Murder and manslaughter.
The murder of George Floyd.
Peaceful protest overnight in the Twin Cities.
They've been very peaceful. The crowd continues to be peaceful.
8:46, 8 minutes and 46 seconds. 9 minutes and 29 seconds.
Actually, 8 minutes and 46 seconds.
By the way, that particular technique is not authorized by the MPD.
Is this a trained Minneapolis Police Department technique?
It is not.
When I heard that, I really wanted to get up off my chair and yell, bullshit.
From what I've seen of the videotape and the photograph and the police training manual, they look pretty identical.
Were you trained in MRT, the maximal restraint technique?
Yes.
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 Yes, all the police officers were trained in the MRT.
George Floyd says, I got shot last time.
I got shot the same way as officers before.
Did you shoot him?
No, I didn't shoot him. No.
You helped to train Officer Alex King. What did you think of him?
I probably trained a few thousand people. He was probably one of the top two.
Give me a minute. This call is from a federal prison.
Hi, Derek, it's Liz.
I highly, highly, highly suggest that you watch this. They did a very good job of the timeline. They go through the autopsy report. They go through the changes to the autopsy report and who asked for those changes. The thing that blew my mind was that after watching this, the very next day, Derek Chauvin was stabbed in prison.
Fortunately, they said the last report I had, he was in stable condition.
He is in stable condition. However, his mother did not find out from the prison. She found out from the media that her son was stabbed. She is the emergency contact for him, and he's in Arizona. Why on earth is he in Arizona?
Good question. I was wondering the same thing myself. Why is he in Arizona? What facility is that?
Yeah, well, it's one that is poorly run. People are calling for the resignation of 2 people that are in the government there that are in charge of that prison and that failed to notify the family. They
the autopsy report was clear that George Floyd was going to die.
He had a 75% blockage in one of his arteries.
Yeah.
I mean, how is that Derek Chauvin's fault? Also, the other officers are doing around 3 years each, I believe.
They just sentenced one, I think, to 3 to 5 or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the poor guy that was just standing, just standing there in the perimeter.
Yeah, and Lizzie Warren says, I have a family member who moved away from Minneapolis because of the craziness there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these cops in this documentary film said that most of them have left. I believe only one of them that is in this film stayed. They've lost about a third of their police force. They went from like over 800 to just under 5. And I think they're just around 5, actually.
I was horrified when this thing happened, and I was watching it live when the mostly peaceful demonstrators were burning down the place, and then they went into they went into a police precinct, and I said, well, certainly they're not going to let them do that, and the mayor told them to stand down.
Well, they go into that in the documentary as well, The Fall of Precinct 3, and it's actually heartbreaking to watch these officers have to do something that is against everything they've been taught. It's against everything that they stand for, and the amount of PTSD and one of them says she can't even go into the city anymore. Like, she just gets physically ill.
What's happened to that police chief that lied, that said that wasn't their technique?
He's still there.
Is he still a chief?
I believe so.
Well, let's see if we can get him on with a Zoom call with us.
Yeah, I bet. I bet he would love to.
I'm sure.
But that's the thing. It wasn't just him that lied. It was the mayor and the governor that also lied. And also a training person, someone that is involved in the police training, said, yeah, we don't teach that. It was a huge lie. His mother also goes through the police training manuals of Derek's, and she's like, it's in there. So I'm not really sure how they can say that he was never taught that. But what they did to these officers, how they also have ruined their lives, their family's life. So his King was the officer's name that you heard there, that the guy that he had trained many officers. He kind of got teary-eyed and he had to stop the interview for a moment. He said that he was probably the top 3 that he's ever trained. And his mother was a school teacher in Minneapolis, and the King name meant something. After he gets out, they're moving away because she's like, we have to rebuild. We can't stay here. It has such a negative connotation, and they've been allowed to destroy these families, which is wrong. He's also Black, which a lot of them would not admit to. His mom is white and his dad is Black, but it's just, a lot of problems with this case, and a lot of things that the judge would not allow in as evidence, which also contributed to the conviction. Also, why was there no change of venue? Why was this held in downtown Minneapolis? There should have been a change of venue at the very least.
Absolutely.
And the Supreme Court has refused to take his case. This has all happened in the last week.
This is cowardice on the part of all the way to the extreme court. And Judge Roberts ought to, I hope he can sleep well with the blood on his hands.
Yeah, well, Lizzie Warren said that she read the Arizona prison was a medium security prison, and maybe that was why he was there. Being part of one of the biggest stories of 2020, one of the biggest trials in this nation.
Well, look what it led to.
I don't know why he wasn't more protected.
This
it seems too coincidental to me.
Yeah. So, and who stabbed? Well, what's happened to the person that stabbed him?
That has not been shared with anyone.
Can we get that name?
Yeah, that's unimportant, Bill. It's unimportant. It doesn't matter because Derek Chauvin, he's an awful human being who deserves anything he gets. The left was cheering this on, saying, good, I hope he dies. What is wrong with people? Lizzie Warren says they were terrified of mostly peaceful protests again. Well, and I understand that, but I'm wondering if we need to start taking cameras out of courtrooms and stop allowing them to record.
Once upon a time, it was actually against the law to bring a camera into a courtroom.
Well, I'm kind of thinking that we need to go back to that because I think that we're now having people make decisions on a jury because they don't want their life threatened or for anything to happen to them. And so, Bill, I'm concerned that if we don't change something in this country, we're going to be ruled by these people that, are out on the Manhattan Bridge and out destroying Christmas tree lightings and stuff for this ceasefire that they want, that we are currently in because they're trading hostages right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they're protesting.
I don't either, because hearts of gold from Hamas, because they said, we'll release one of yours if you release 25 of ours.
It's 3.
Is it 3?
It's 1 to 3.
It's 1 to 3? Oh,
yeah. But also
they're generous to a fault.
But that's the thing. Israel's also creating a problem for themselves, because it's going to create this whole thing where they just take hostages and then exchange for their prisoners, and it's always going to be a bad deal, 3 to 1. That's not a good deal for anyone. I don't know. Nothing is easy. There are no easy solutions. But I do think that we need to really be careful on how we're supporting these wars, because I do think that we need to focus here at home, especially, I think we'll dive into the border this week, but the stuff coming over the border, there's been 24,000 Chinese come across the border in the last year.
Oh.
That scares me.
Wow. Were they coming to work at Hung Chow restaurant or something?
I have a feeling that they're not. And I do think that some of these people are being placed in, I know that there have been people that have been found to be in the government that are, look at
strategic positions.
Yes, exactly. And you also have people, a lot of Muslims have also been involved in the government and have been really influencing things in our government since before 9/11.
Oh, the peace-loving Muslims.
Yes.
Well, we'll try to solve more of this problem tomorrow. But as we wrap it up today, I want to congratulate our high school football teams making the playoffs. Calvary's final home game of the season, they came from behind to beat Wesleyan 42-21 in the Class 3A semifinals. It's now they take on Cedar Grove for hopefully some revenge. Cedar Grove was a team that knocked them out of the quarterfinals last year. It's interesting that our teams have the best record, but every one of the playoffs are on the road.
Interesting.
So now it's on to take on Cedar Grove. Savannah Christian in their first appearance in the semifinals since 2008. They beat previously unbeaten Lumpkin County, also 42-21, oddly enough. And Benedictine, like UGA, is having a long winning streak. They won their 24th straight game last Friday night when they beat impressive, very much so, going for the three-peat, just like the Dogs are, with a 48-26 win over North Oconee. And once again, they're undefeated, 24 games in a row, and they're on the road on Friday night. The Cadets now will be meeting Stockbridge on Friday, and that ain't close. So I'm just wondering why the teams with the best records are the ones who are having to travel.
That's a good question, Bill.
Yeah.
But I do know that BC, they had to practice on Thanksgiving morning.
Mm-hmm.
So they are training like champions. So hopefully they will see their third championship this year.
Yep.
I think they have 2 games left.
Ask any football players that if you want to be practicing on Thanksgiving. Yep, sure do. And Bryan County, by the way, right up the road, Division I Class A advanced to the semifinals for the first time in school history with a 24-16 win over Commerce. In the process of setting a school record for wins in a season. When their coach took over 4 years ago, they went 0-7. So they've gone from that to maybe playing for a state championship. They're into the semifinals, and that's Coach Sherrod Freeman. Congratulations to him and the entire team at Bryan County.
That's exciting.
And so far, they haven't changed their name from the Indians. Thank you.
Ooh, yeah, not yet. Mm-hmm. They'll come for them at some point.
It won't be long.
Yeah. But we'll leave you today always on a fun note.
Yep.
In Denver, they had snow over the weekend, and there were some unhappy campers that wanted to come inside.
Taking a look, this is what it looked like when things got. Denver is and in Colorado, that's the high desert. So one day it could be snow, and the next day it could be 75 degrees.
Yep.
It's really crazy.
The weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. Since we no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.